Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Monday Night Pod. My name is Jeremy Jacobowitz. I'm here with my tag team partner, Adam Welby.
Hey, yo.
And this is a podcast all about the Monday Night Wars, all about the battles between WWF Raw and WCW Nitro. Every single week, we go back in time and we watch in order the episodes. We compare, we contrast, we pick a winner with the overall goal to determine who really should have won the Monday Night Wars. I don't know. Why should people listen to what we have to say?
Because let me tell you something, Chair Bear. Not only are the Monday Night Podheads taking their vitamins, saying their prayers, we know that they're super busy leading ultra-productive lives. And not everybody is able to watch 3 hours of 1996 Monday Night Wars every week. And, of course, you want to watch every week in real time because you can't skip a week of the drama. How are you gonna be able to drink in, what happened in Eddie Guerrero versus Arn Anderson one week or whatever, how are you going to drink in all these smaller moments of Vader versus Phineas if you try and skip over episodes? But what we at Monday Night Pod are doing for our Monday Night Podheads is we're taking all of that 3 hours that would be otherwise lost to the lack of time that the Podheads have in their productive weeks, and we're condensing it into a simple, easy to take on the go, hour-ish podcast for you guys to relive the Monday Night Wars in real time with us.
Usually it's an hour-ish, but that intro is very long, so we're gonna have to speed up. Yes, that's the one reason. I guess the real reason is though that we both used to work at WWE. We both worked in the WW tape libraries. Our jobs were to watch wrestling. We've watched all of it, so we certainly have a lot to say about wrestling. Adam, I have two surprises for you. This is going to be easier for our YouTube audience if you're watching us right now. If you're not, I'll put on social media or whatever. But I bought two different things that I think you will like. And one of them I have on right now. So I'll stand up here. I positioned the camera perfectly so you couldn't see it as we were prepping.
I will describe it as you stand up then for our audio listeners. So Jeremy is standing up and he is,
Do you know what it is yet?
Oh boy. Jer is wearing the We Are All family from the Nightmare family, and it looks like the Pride Month edition of it. That's got a nice rainbow colored version of the American Nightmare tattoo on there. I really like that, Jer Bear.
Yeah, this was cool.
I imagine
I'd say
from that went to some kind of charity.
Yes, I forget which one, but it did go to charity. WWE's, I've talked to this before, has dropped the ball on wrestling t-shirts. All of them are terrible because they make them look like wrestling t-shirts. Even more so, they'll on the front, maybe it looks kind of cool, but then they'll slap a giant weird thing on the back, either the logo or some saying or something. No real shirts have something said on the back. So even though I bought the Mick Foley one a few weeks ago, I think is pretty cool. That's a very rare find to find a WWE shirt that I like. This one I thought was very cool. Money went to a good spot and want to, rep everything. So then I bought a second one. I went to WrestlingTees.com. And then I saw this one, and I said, oh, I absolutely need this shirt, too. And here's the second one, Adam.
Here, Jeremy's breaking it. It's white. It's up. Oh, man, it's the Inner Circle Stadium Stampede shirt that they made before they lost the event that says they're the first ever champion. What a great shirt that is.
I liked it that it felt like an actual, this is actually designed off of a T-shirt I used to have.
Yeah.
Bless the person that made this, because this looks, the lettering, the colors and everything were the exact ones that the New York Rangers used in 1994 when they won the Stanley Cup. And I absolutely had that T-shirt. I don't know, look right there. You can see almost like a New York skyline, the way the legs are right there.
I think, yeah.
Isn't that cool?
I think there might have been something purposeful about that because Jericho was talking about that on the Talk is Jericho. That was all about how they put together Stadium Stampede. He was talking about how they did a bunch of things that could be a throwback to, his dad. And
exactly.
Yeah.
New York Rangers. That's the team his dad played for. Obviously, Jericho probably grew up a Rangers fan. Remember, he's born in Long Island, not Canada. So very good job, both the T-shirts.
Yeah. All right. Well, good get, buddy. That's some good stuff. I haven't bought a new T-shirt in quite some time. Not since my best friend's shirt that my wife hates. So.
I was going to say that you don't have to because you have a wife to like fulfill you, you know what I mean, emotionally. I am left with wrestling t-shirts to fill those needs. So
That's true. You jam enough wrestling T-shirts into that hole in your heart, and you'll fill it for the time
at some
being.
point.
Yeah, exactly. Although I do want to get her the I Heart AEW T-shirt, just because those are my initials as well. So I can have a little two birds with one stone kind of thing going on there.
Are you going to tell her that it's a wrestling company, or just tell her that, hey, it's just a shirt about me?
Maybe I'll see how long it'll take for her to catch on. Just not say anything, and then just see. It'd be much more challenging to do with like my NWO tank top or something like that to say that that's not. Although I'll tell you, my new favorite thing to do on Facebook is when I see crazy people talking about how 5G is going to register our genetic code for Bill Gates to take over or something like that, and they talk about the New World Order taking over. I always post an NWO GIF, no matter what. When I see it, no matter how serious the conversation is, if someone talks about the New World Order, NWO GIF. It's usually Hogan, talking shit. It's always good. But man, NWO is hot right now in Raw and Nitro 1996. It's on everybody's minds. And as much as I love talking about T-shirts and emotional holes in our hearts on this podcast, I think what we specialize in is utilizing our time machine.
Let's do it, Adam. Let's go back to October 14th, 1996. Raw is once again taped from the Hershey Park Arena in Hershey, Pennsylvania. This is going to be the last taping we have here for a while, hopefully, maybe. And this is episode number 180. Video package opens the show, previewing Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Shawn Michaels, which is going to be our main event. Stone Cold cuts like a very quick little promo here, full-on heel, which I really love. JR and Kevin Kelly preview the show. No King at commentary. We will find out later why. But the first match is going to be Vader with Jim Cornette versus Phineas Godwin with Hillbilly Jim. This match goes 4 minutes and 30 seconds, and a Vader bomb ends it.
Quite quick. I guess we're getting done with the Godwins here. We're kind of moving away from them as people care about. Yeah, I know, for real. I thought it was there was a lot of Kevin Dunn talk on commentary during this, which kind of it's funny that he's getting his spot in the spotlight.
Yeah, well, so we've been going through this like JR heel turn, which is all supposed to be like shades of gray realness, whatever you want to call it, blurring the lines. So during this match, they announced that Kevin Kelly's fucking getting booted. Next week, it's going to be Vince and Jerry the King Lawler commentary. JR bitches and moans. It says Vince and Kevin Dunn. He tells Vince and Kevin Dunn that he will be on commentary anyway because he doesn't care. Kevin's like, well, I think I have more stuff to do and they have stuff for you to do. And JR says, stop being a company man and shut up. Oh no, sorry. JR says he should be a company man. Whatever. They're just bitching and moaning, complaining the whole time. And Kevin Kelly is falling in line and JR is having none of it.
Yeah. It's petty a little bit. It's not like entertaining back and forth television, I don't think.
No, it's only entertaining Vince and Bruce who are writing this shit to make fun of what JR actually complains about.
Yeah. It's definitely
popular. Very inside baseball. Yeah. Just even saying Kevin Dunn at that point, you have to be a huge mark to know who Kevin Dunn is in 1996.
Yeah, it's not like credits roll at the end of every episode of Raw or a pay-per-view.
Right.
You know who's who.
Other than that, during this match, Sid comes out to the entranceway to taunt Vader in the middle of it. Then he just like takes in his fake cheers and leaves. The match ends. I know he said Vader bomb pretty much. Oh no, that was it. I just want to say Phineas tries for a slap chop, but Vader holds on to the ropes.
Yeah, the Sid stuff. I thought. The one thing I noted from that was that Sid calls Vader "fat boy."
It's true.
Yeah, that's what we're going for.
That's that match. Again, more stuff that just makes Vince and Bruce laugh.
Yeah.
Next
I
up,
mean,
JR
they're
brings
making
out
the show
Mr.
for them.
What's that?
They're making their show for them.
Always and forever. What's
Yeah.
the W thing? It's like now, now, forever.
Then, now, forever.
then, now, forever.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's a good point because I can't remember. I think it might have been Court Bauer who was talking about it on a podcast or something, but it was after Heyman got axed from Raw recently and now Pritchard's in charge again or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, what other like medium of television do they just keep sticking with the same guys who have the same ideas in their head for 30 fucking years?
Well, I mean, to be fair though, Bruce was gone for over a decade.
Yeah, but
and it's not like WWE got much better while he was gone. If anything, I mean, the whole thing with Heyman and Bruce too, which is interesting, is lots of people sort of share that feeling of like, ugh, why do they do this? Who cares? But like, if you've been forced to watch both shows for the past few months, as I pretty much have kept up with, I'm sure a lot of you guys have, SmackDown has been very good and Raw has been terrible. And so far, under Bruce, Raw has been better. So I don't really want to complain. And, you know, that is a job that does seem like you get burnt out very quickly. A lot of it probably has to do with dealing with fucking Vince every second. And it takes a special person to put up with that shit. But, you know.
But just so much more of television in the industry in general. And I don't think it's necessarily the correct thing across the board, but so much of it involves like so much of it is about kind of getting young ideas in, you know, fresh minds, new people who can approach your subject matter and freshen it up and give it new perspectives. And then like you get these guys who have been good and have proved what they've done throughout the years, but like they're just trying to adjust for the times with the way that they're perceiving things. I'm not saying there's not a role for these guys as executive producers and stuff like that, but to be, you know, writing and in charge like that. Just,
I mean, to me, it's more like, it's certainly obvious that they go out and they hire those people. I just think that it never reaches air because I think at the end of the day, it's always Vince saying no.
Yeah.
Listen, you have 30 writers that work at WWE now, or whatever number it is. I am sure there are more than a few that are young and spry and have fresh ideas. But I imagine they have some fun idea for the Street Profits and you know, the Viking War, whatever the fuck they call them now, Viking Raiders. And then by the time it gets through all the fucking filters, we end up with them fighting ninjas.
Yeah, right. Which was great. But I can't remember how deep we've talked in this show about my time as a writer's assistant at WWE, or if we ever have talked about it.
I don't think you've ever said that, Adam.
Have I? Oh, well, you know, we'll get into it more at some point. But we both did work in the WWE tape library. I was also a writer's assistant there for a very brief amount of time. Very dramatic story that ends it that we'll have to get into another time. But there was, in the writer's room, you know, there were a couple of different people. There's probably like 5 or 6 writers for, I think it was Raw at the time or something like that. And I'll never forget that one of them was a lady who was a soap opera writer who they brought in. And we were just kind of starting the day off throwing ideas around for where like some things could build to. And someone threw out, you know, this could build to an Iron Man match between, I don't know, it's fucking John Morrison and The Miz at the time. This is 2011. And she says, what's that? I'm like, huh? What's an Iron Man match? I'm like, oh. We're in the writer's room at Titan Towers, and this gal doesn't know what an Iron Man match is. Sounds about right.
It does sound about right.
Anyway, I can tell you that's something that once happened. We're only one segment into Raw, though. We should really try and focus ourselves.
Let's do it. All right, next up, JR brings Mr. Perfect into the ring to interview him. They talk about his upcoming match next week versus Hunter Hearst Helmsley. JR just keeps like digging at him that he's like going to be rusty and not ready. Sure, that happens.
Yeah. Ring rust. Yeah. There you go.
Ring rust. Next up, we get a promo for the WWF Big Bang Boom tour, just their stupid house show schedule. But it's have a new name for the tour. We're over the Attitude Adjustment Tour and into the Big Bang Boom.
Yeah, I guess we're just gonna keep working our way through the alphabet with alliteration.
Alliterations. That's absolutely what's good.
So and then next is gonna be like the Crazy Chaos Collision Tour, and then we'll have the Destruction Derby of Devastation Tour, and then it'll just keep going. It'll keep going
forever and ever. Next up, though, it's Jerry Lawler versus Jake the Snake Roberts. I'm confused because I thought this was happening at the pay-per-view, but whatever.
Also, it probably should happen at the pay-per-view.
Yeah, the match I've been building for months. But anyway, basically, it lasts 30 seconds. So I'll just read through the whole thing. The segment does it. The match does. King comes out. Then we go to commercial break. We come back, and he's doing like a stand-up routine as JR talks over him. JR, at this point, complains that Vince doesn't know the names of any of the holds. Anyway, Jay comes out stumbling, he has a brown paper bag, a bottle in a brown paper bag. Kevin and JR immediately talk about it. It's like, oh my God, he's in no shape to wrestle here. We don't know what's going on. This is very bad.
That's for sure.
Right. So Gorilla comes out. The only time a WWFE official has ever done a good job. He comes out to stop Jake, thinking like he can't be in the match. Jake gives him like a little thumbs up kind of A-OK sign, like, hey, don't worry about it. Which should have been like a little subtle hint to us as the audience, but there's no such thing as subtlety in the WWF. So JR and Kevin Kelly just scream. He's like, oh, he's tricking him. He's tricking him. Blah, blah, blah. It's a setup. It's like, Jesus. So then we go to commercial. We come back. Or there's a commercial somewhere in there. I forget what it is. But anyway, we come back and Jake kicks Lawler in the gut, DDTs him, and pins him for the win in 30 seconds. And that's a generous 30 seconds. I would say 2 seconds.
Yeah. Pretty immediate.
Jake pours the alcohol all over King before sicking the snake on him. Revelations.
We're taking that fat-friendly albino Burmese python and just laying him on top of him. I was thinking like, oh, that kind of sucks for the snake. I'm sure it doesn't really enjoy the smell of the alcohol. If they did have actual alcohol in there, who knows? It could have been apple juice or something. Mm-hmm. As we know, is a common thing that they use. Would the
snake have liked apple juice?
Well, I mean, you're not going to get the wafting of alcohol. I mean, everyone knows alcohol. It'll burn your eyes or whatever if it's like right in your shit. And I'm sure a snake getting that right up in its nose ain't so comfortable. So, here we go. Great. I'm so glad that we were building up to this match on commentary and through segments and multiple times a show for months now, and we have a 30-second DDT.
Well, hopefully this means that it's actually going to happen at the pay-per-view. Maybe.
Oh. Big rematch.
Wait, is the pay-per-view this Sunday? Yeah. It has to be, because Raw's live next week.
Maybe. Is Halloween Havoc at the same day?
No, I think we're 2 weeks away from Halloween. We're definitely 2 weeks away from Halloween Havoc, so
okay.
So that makes sense. All right. Anyway, that's a segment. Whatever. I was actually okay with most of it if they didn't like scream that Jake was. It's just like whatever.
Yeah.
It's that idea that the audience is so stupid they can't catch on. So literally, like if you're watching on YouTube, he's like.
By the way, yes, it does appear that In Your House 11, Buried Alive, is on October 20th, and considering that we are October 14th right now, that would make sense.
All right, I will try and watch it this week then. I tried to watch Mind Games last time. I got, a match and a half into it, so I will attempt this week to watch it just to whatever.
You watched
I'm trying to think if I watched it before. I mean, I'm sure I've seen the main events before.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've seen the actual pay-per-view, though.
Well, luckily, we have access to all those things.
We do. Next up, more exposing of Double J. We see Road Dogg singing along with Jim Johnston. They talk about his new album and saying like, oh, he's going to work on some new cool things. He's going to have like a really cool duet or something with someone really awesome. And then they start to tease, which we're going to learn more about, is the actual real military history of Jesse James. So
Yeah, exciting. Even though
Should be cool.
"With My Baby Tonight" is kind of a stupid song.
They said it was one of the greatest songs of all time.
I mean, that's good. I'm glad that they're saying that. But I'm not buying the gimmick there that it's that big of a hit. Rap His Crap was a much bigger hit than "With My Baby Tonight." That's for sure.
Next up, it's Freddie Joe Floyd versus Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Match goes 4 minutes. Hunter has a lovely blonde lady with him who he decides to handcuff to the ring corner because, Mr. Perfect has been stealing the ladies. So if he handcuffs her to the ring, Mr. Perfect cannot steal them. Fair.
Yeah.
I'll just run through this because it's not going to make sense if he just gets to the end. So anyway, Mr. Perfect comes out to ringside and approaches the lady and magically just has a key. Okay.
That's how this works, Jared. Don't you know? If you just have a key,
have a key.
Yeah, house key, car key, padlock key, or a key for another pair of handcuffs. Like, they just work.
They all work. So anyway, he uncuffs the handcuffs, I guess, and he leaves with the lady, and then he hands a key back to the random security guard. Why would the security guard have the key? How did he get in the first place from the security guard? Again, it's just like they couldn't let anything, even though it didn't make any sense, you could just sort of left it at that. That's like beat us over the head of like they made it more stupid by trying to explain it anyway. So at this point, the little distraction of him coming out lets Freddie Joe Floyd take a little bit of advantage of Hunter. But anyway, Hunter is still able to hit the pedigree, goes for the pin, gets the 1, 2, literally before the 3 could come down, he decides, no, I'm not going to win this match. I'm going to get up at this point with Perfect halfway up the entrance ramp, run after him instead of just getting the win and then doing that. So as he's running after Perfect, Perfect KOs him. Not a DQ finish. Hunter is actually counted out. Every single second of this match was beyond stupid. It made no sense. And in a match that is meaningless to tell a story, they still chose every single decision to piss me off.
Freddie Joe Floyd's dick also almost fell out during a suplex once. That was pretty. Like Hunter grabbed all of his spandex and suplexed him up, but like pulled them over at the time. So you're seeing like all of his his hip area, right up until his Frankenbeans, which are being pulled over to the side by what's still covering him. That was pretty funny. That's my big takeaway from what's memorable from this trash.
Right, yeah, nothing else. Next up, Stone Cold cuts a little promo backstage of Bret Hart. Like this one, though, very short, but Austin says some very interesting things. We've been on this little crusade about the Austin 316 thing and why the history of what WWF tells us is wrong. Here, for the first time since King of the Ring, Austin 316 says, I'm going to whoop your ass or whatever, close enough to that. So we're close.
He ends it with "'cause Stone Cold said so."
Right.
I don't think he's quite yet that's the bottom line, "'cause Stone Cold said so."
Yeah.
But it was definitely, I wrote it down. I was like, this is, I think, our first proper 316 "'cause Stone Cold said so on Raw. So mark it on your calendars, ladies and gents of the Podhead universe, October 14th, 1996, when it happened.
Well, here's a good test then. So Raw is live on Monday. If we start to see Austin 316 signs, we could point back that nobody cared at King of the Ring when he said it, but when he said it on Raw is the true official beginning of it.
It's going to be exciting to see. I'm surprised just with how the character's heating up that we're 2 WrestleManias away from his crowning time.
Well, basically what happened is he's heating up, but he's still a heel. He's a heel until WrestleMania 97.
We have to get through Hart and we have to get through the switch.
And then it's year. Then it's the next year.
And then it's a year, and then that's Tyson and everything. Yep. I'm into it.
That's it's how you build. I mean, especially back then where you had you were still building your champion for year-long runs. At this point, they have WrestleMania plans out. It's going to get screwy because of what Shawn does, but it is planned out. At least I think at this point it's supposed to be Brett and Shawn again at 97 with Brett getting the win back. And then, but we know that doesn't happen, but we'll get to that when it happens. Anyway, next up, Sunny comes out to the ring. She says that she's going to bring out something very special, and it's a giant poster of herself. JR bitches and moans, like, oh, so stupid. Sunny. She gets a commentary. My only note here is that she comes out to the WWF stripping music. And if you ever watched the Attitude Era of WWF, you should know exactly what song that is. You know what song that is?
I'm trying to remember, but you gotta let me know.
So it's sadly what I picture from this is like Mae Young doing this, but they did it for all the divas when they made them strip. It was da 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 da. For whatever reason, in Vince's head, that means stripping, and that became the stripping music. God damn it!
Yeah, they're taking their clothes off.
It's probably like what porn was like in like the 1920s. That's Vince's idea.
Yeah. Sometime in the 60s, like a young Vince McMahon found like a porn phonograph in a pile of trash, and like that's what was just etched into his brain.
Anyway, next up we get our next Mankind promo in the graveyard with Paul Bearer. Pouring rain, sort of. Sounded like they added it, but they certainly look wet, and Mick is just covered in mud. And he's yelling about burying Undertaker come this Sunday.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's still good. We need a super cut of all their promos from this thing, but
if anyone wants to do that, go ahead. I'm not going to do that, but if anyone in our audience likes to do that, tweet at us and we'll share it and give you love.
I'm all into it. The podheads can unite and do something great.
Next up, it is the Pug versus Farouk. Alex Poitou has lost his name, and he's just the Pug this week. Match goes 2 minutes. The Dominator ends it. Interesting that Kevin Kelly calls it the Tiger Bite, which I had never heard, but it's the Dominator. The only note I have is that JR says literally he calls the headgear fucking stupid.
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah.
It's all American right here. Helmet, goddamn, man, making my helmet like an idiot.
Yeah, he said that was definitely Vince McMahon's choice. It's funny. I was a big fan of that.
Again, they're literally just making him say what he says backstage just to fucking rib him.
We're ribbing him good. Ha.
Next up, we got footage from Livewire. Farouk is in studio, and Ahmed Johnson's in studio. Farouk calls in, and they're just having like an actually really interesting back and forth, yelling at each other. Like it felt real. It felt raw. God damn it. Then Ahmed says that in the ring or not, he just wants to settle this shit. Like let's just fight. Ahmed says it'll come to his house tonight if that's what it takes. Eventually, Ahmed gets so pissed off. He's like, just end the call. Just end the call. I can't even deal with it. Like an actually really cool segment that I wish almost played out the full thing on Raw instead of Livewire, and also something I wish we could watch. Again, let's get Livewire on the network. Let's crusade for Livewire.
That's right. Hashtag Livewire Network. I don't know. But I mean, you're right, though. They did play a good long portion of this, but they could have just played out the whole thing if they wanted, because, again, these shows are pre-taped, and we don't have to worry about having an audience sitting on their hands watching, a video play.
Right.
Well, I'm glad that we got that, but I love this next thing even more.
Yeah, next up, we got our next Undertaker promo at the graveyard, sort of finishing up the, whatever you want to call it, the little mini movies of the two of them going back and forth at the graveyard.
Yeah, but this one is shot from, like, the perspective is from the base of the grave, and Taker starts shoveling dirt onto the camera afterwards and stuff like that. Like, this is awesome. Big fan of it. And he said, this is the last thing you'll ever see, mankind, before you rest in peace. And just starts burying the dirt on him. It's good shit. It's good shit. Real good shit.
It's good. But next up is our main event, Adam. Stone Cold Steve Austin versus the WWF champion Shawn Michaels with Jose Lothario in his corner. Match goes 6 minutes and it ends when, oops, kick the mic. Sorry, guys. Ends when I didn't kick it. How could I kick the mic? I'm not that agile. I hit it with my hands. Ends with a Vader run in for the DQ.
Yeah, it was a pretty good match up until that DQ happened. You know?
It's all right. Fine. I mean, it's fun. It's always fun watching Stone Cold like actually get to wrestle, because I feel like once he's on top, he never really has wrestling matches just because his body can't do it. So it's cool seeing them like trade pitting attempts and go back and forth and like be technical, which Austin really was known for before the neck injury.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, this is not their WrestleMania face down. You know, it's not their big culmination of anything, but this is a fine main event for what it is.
Yeah. And the fun ending too. So basically during the match, Vader and Corny, we see them watching backstage before they obviously come out to ringside. We also see Sid backstage just like laughing and yelling in his locker room, whatever. So after the match, Savio runs in and just like immediately eats a stunner and is thrown to the outside. So fuck you. He's facing off against Stone Cold this weekend.
Yeah.
So it's a 2-on-1 until Sid runs in to save everyone. And it's just mayhem. At that point, we see fake Razor and fake Diesel at the entranceway looking on. Austin throws HBK into Sid. Sid had his back turned, so he turns around and just sees that Shawn was attacking him, and now they go face to face, and they're like, "Huh? What's up?" Basically, what they're setting up is we now have like the face to face shot for the video package for Survivor Series. So, good job producing there. Yeah. But at the end of the day, they are on the same page, and Shawn and Sid celebrate as the show goes off the air.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on here. It's a big culmination of their recording that they've been doing at this same arena for the last 3 weeks. So maybe send the fans home at least a little bit excited. I can't believe that Stone Cold is facing Savio Vega again, though. Mm-hmm. Again.
It just kind of felt like they had their idea for what they wanted they had the Brett idea thing mapped out, and they're like, how do we get Austin there? And they're just like, we don't know. We just want him to like go over we want him to go over and over face and have a good match. And how many of those people are out there that could actually have a good match of Austin? Oh, Savio's over enough. And he's like, could really, is a ring vet. I guess that makes sense.
But they've already done this match with those two on pay-per-view before, like 3 times.
2 pay-per-views.
This is like the 3rd time. It's fucking nuts. But all right, I mean, and it's not like, when's the last time we saw Vega get a win? Period. Every time that he's been on Raw, he's just counting the lights. So,
but I mean, overall, it's like, I was thinking about this. We'll talk more about this sort of at the end of the episode too. But I was thinking about this, like our notes have sort of been recently, like, well, storytelling's kind of okay, and I'm kind of into it. There's just not a lot to see because the matches are so terrible, and unfortunately, that is sort of like if you were to lay out one sentence about the Monday Night Wars, that's sort of what you have to say is like, well, the storylines are really cool, but like the matches are going to be terrible for the next 6 years.
Yeah, but some of it's also such trash because like, what was that Sunny thing in the ring where she came out and had another poster draped out of her? Like we've seen her do that before. And
right.
what are we doing here? Like, where's the movement? Like, why do we care?
I don't know. I mean, if you look at, my always thing is like, okay, what are they building towards? And if I can make sense of what they're building, I give them, it makes sense to me. So you start off with Vader. Okay, making Vader look like a monster for his match against Shawn, I guess. Is that what's happening?
I think so.
All right, so they did that. You did a few segments building towards Perfect and Hunter, even though it's happening on Raw, not the pay-per-view, oddly. And again, I don't believe that even happens. You are maybe concluding Lawler and Jake the Snake Roberts, or at least you're like setting up for the one final showdown at the pay-per-view. Building up Double J for his actual in-ring whatever debut. Stone Cold, you're building towards Stone Cold and Bret Hart.
The real
Double J. you're building towards Stone Cold Bret Hart, while along the way you're building towards him and Savio. Obviously, you have all the Taker Mankind stuff throughout the episode, which has been great. Farouk and Ahmed you're building towards, and then your main event, you sort of throw everything at all of it together, and you tease what is going on with Fake Razor and Fake Diesel. Pretty much every segment had a reason to happen, which is nice because we went through months where nothing had any meaning to anything.
Right. Yeah, but like also it just isn't that entertaining.
Well, yeah, that's the problem. Is like they're building and their stories, but like the way they're achieving it might not be the best way to do it.
Well,
they're halfway there.
Yeah, we've definitely seen better Raws, but we've definitely seen worse than this one.
Yes.
Remember Raw Bowl?
I think that's our number. I think that's actually one of our highest listened to episodes.
Ooh, all right.
I think because there's really not them. I mean, I remember when I did the research for that episode, there really isn't a lot out there about it. So we're one of the few things that have discussed it. So there you go.
Another reason to listen to Monday Night Pod.
I wish I could tell you guys what episode it was, but if you look up Raw Bowl, it's
pretty easy to find.
And also, our episodes go in order. That happens in January of 1996. So just scoot back a bunch and you'll be fine.
There it is. You know what else is easy to find? The Mid-South Coliseum in Memphis, Tennessee.
Well, let's go there, Adam. This is episode 57 of Nitro. And once again, we are live, as you said, Adam, from the Mid-South Coliseum in Memphis, Tennessee, a very historic wrestling site. And we will get more into that as the show goes on. But anyway, Tony Schiavone and Mike Tenay welcome us. And we see clips last week of NWO destroying Randy Savage. You know, speaking of Tony, favorite thing in wrestling right now?
Oh, boy. Britt Baker and Tony Schiavone.
I just want to see that. That should be, if that was AEW Dark, an hour of that, I would watch AEW Dark for the first time.
I watch Dark. I like Dark is like a nice thing to put on. Like sometimes I won't get, maybe not every single week, but like I like what they do with Dark because they said that they want their win losses to matter. But like you still need to pad out win losses in wrestling, especially with like your stars. And so, yeah, sure. Like let's get some indie guys who can come out and do the job, of course. But like people get randomly over in the middle of it, and there's cool things that have happened, and certain people have like really found their vibe working through Dark. Example, I think they're talking about this on Squared Circle. I believe that this last week was the first time that Sonny Kiss was actually on Dynamite.
Was in a match.
Yeah. And it's because he's got this kind of cool program coming with him and Joey Janela.
Joey Janela.
Yeah. So, it's nice that that Dark is out there as something that they could still sort of get their creative stuff flowing and find like, what these characters are supposed to be and how they're supposed to interact and who they are together, So I appreciate Dark for that.
Just saying.
I got you.
Anyway, we open our first match. It is Dean Malenko versus Brad Armstrong. This match goes, stand by, I forgot to write down how long it was. It goes 5 minutes and 30 seconds, Adam. And it ends, it's a very like technical match back and forth, and it's a quarter Nelson, it's a takedown with a quarter Nelson pin. Basically, remember, Dean is the man of 1,000 holds kind of finish.
Yes. I think they even said that on like, not commentary. I think the announcer said, the winner, the man of 1,000 holds.
Right. Yeah.
In Malenko. Yeah.
I mean, I've never seen a match end like that, so gimmick's working.
I'll take it. And, it's fun to see like an athletic twist them up kind of thing like these guys wanted to go out there and do. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't bad. Dean comes out still holding Rey Mysterio's mask, as we discussed last week. Pretty much a takeaway is like the fans are chanting for the NWO so hard. They are pretty much ignoring the entire match as they chant NWO. So tells you where we are.
One other little thing with this match is I understand why we're doing it. I understand why we're telling this story. but the Nick Patrick stuff is starting to get a little annoying because it's a little too much of a focus throughout.
Yeah, I mean, he wrestles every single match, and it comes up in or refs every single match. It's annoying. It's not on like Mean Gene interviewing people. First of all, where's Mean Gene been?
Ooh, I don't know. You think Mean Gene has joined the NWO?
They haven't brought that up yet. I don't know why not. He came from the WWF. It would actually make sense, Adam.
Yeah.
Anyway, next up, we have a dueling blue denim shirt promo this week between Raw and Nitro. This one is with Deborah and Mongo. Who wins in the blue denim Jeep promo wars, Adam?
Oh my God. Well, they were hawking them on Raw again this week, but like, it was such a straightforward commercial. And like, unfortunately, we're not into full blown, cocaine Kevin Green Macho Man workout with Mongo selling these denim shirts, because if they were, I would have immediately gone to eBay and been like, all right, who's got this Nitro denim shirt for me? Does it still have cocaine residue from Mongo that day? But it's funny, like they specify these are blue denim shirts, and yeah, it's good. It's funny. Well, Nitro is good at doing.
So Nitro wins, is what you're saying.
Well, here's the thing: the Nitro denim shirts are like, at least in the world of tasteful, as far as tasteful as a blue denim shirt can go. These ones just kind of have the Nitro logo on them, The denim shirts that the WWF are hawking have full fucking portraits of The Undertaker or Shawn Michaels on from your hip to the base of your neck. So, as far as like which one I would rather wear out in public, it's absolutely the Nitro one.
Yep. I agree. Next up, we see a black limo arriving. Who is it? Who could it be? Well, it's the NWO, of course. They are here. They're in the arena. Get ready. But first up, it's M. Wall Street versus Hacksaw Jim Duggan. This match goes 5 minutes. So this match happened on Saturday night. Hacksaw Jim Duggan won, but his fists were taped up. So Nick Patrick reverses the call after the match because he sees that the fists were taped up. So this is a rematch to see who the true champion should be. This match, we see Wall Street grab the tape, shoves Mark Curtis, which should be a DQ, but it's not. But that allows Hacksaw to clothesline him for the win.
Yeah, like the 3-point stance clothesline.
Sorry, yes,
we have to specify, otherwise, otherwise it's not his finisher move. It's just a clothesline. But yeah, that's a punch kick match. I like that they finally acknowledge
so much. I hate him. Passion.
It's funny that they're finally acknowledging that the taped up fist is like not something you can just fucking do in front of the ref. Like,
I mean, that's actually his finisher, is the taped up wrist. Which I'm not a fighter. I don't really understand why it makes it more impactful.
Yeah, I don't know. That's tough because like when, all right, I'm basing this on no scientific research whatsoever, but you have to consider like when, maybe when your hand like collides with something, like no matter what, there's going to be some give in your hand where like your fingers separate, it's just like a matter of impact on there. But when your hand is taped up like that, there's no widening the surface area of your impact. That makes sense?
I'll buy it.
I'm sure some of our pod heads right now are like listening to this, working in a lab somewhere, doing physics bullshit, and they're like, oh my God, they've just figured out this whole thing. And now they're going to do their PhD based on Hacksaw Jim Duggan's use of a taped up fist. You're welcome, random physics PhD candidate podhead. We're happy that we could assist in your education.
If you are that person or you just want to chat with us at all, make sure to tweet us at Monday Night Pod. We have a Facebook page, Monday Night Pod. You can email us at info@mondaynightpod.com. If you're watching on YouTube, you can comment below. Hit the like button while you're there anyway. Subscribe while you're there. Instagram, Monday Night Pod. You could commenting and shit. Oh, maybe I'll put my put a photo of my new fancy AEW shirts there.
Fancy. One thought before we get away from this. Well, you're talking about how you hate M Wall Street, formerly VK Wall Street, formerly IRS.
Formerly Mike Rotundo.
Formerly Mike Rotundo. I would like to put together sometime, if we ever get into doing top 10 lists or top 5 lists on Monday Night Pod, which who knows where this is all going. I was trying to think of like wrestlers whose offspring surpassed them the most. You know? Like,
I bet you there's like a what culture list on that. We could rip it off from.
There probably is, but like, who is on the Mount Rushmore of that? You know, it's got to be Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt, and I don't know, Carmella, The Rock.
It wasn't Carmella's dad just a jobber. I don't think you count him, right?
I mean, I think you do because he was just a jobber, but he was like a respected jobber. You know, he was like a special delivery Jones style respected jobber.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of thinking like, who is on the Mount Rushmore of like surpassed their parents?
Well, how many people are on Mount Rushmore? 4, 5?
4.
All right, so there you go. You got Rock numero uno, Randy Orton number 2, Bray number 3, and then pick them. Want to do Carmella?
Yeah, maybe.
Someone else. Well, there you go. Done.
But here's the thing though that I'm trying to qualify for this one. Obviously, Randy Orton, 13-time world champion, like way far ahead of his dad. But I think Bob Orton was also a lot bigger of a star than Mike Rotundo ever was.
I don't know. Rotundo had a very good run, like NWA stuff when he was actually Mike Rotundo. I would say maybe you go Bob only because like he was in the main event of the first WrestleMania.
That's what I was thinking.
Kind of deal.
Bob main event of the WrestleMania, so.
But I put Bray on the fucking Mount Rushmore. So what else you want?
Oh yeah, for sure.
That wasn't a question.
I just want to be validified even more. That's all.
Okay, fair.
Validation. It's what I get off on.
There you go. Next up, it is Hugh Morris versus Jim Powers with Teddy Long. This match goes 4 minutes and 30 seconds. No laughing matter ends it. But the story of this match is your favorite story, Adam, Nick Patrick. During the match, it's a very slow count every single time Jim Powers goes for the pinfall. Teddy Long gets up, he's yelling at him, blah, blah. They go back and forth. They're very upset. For the no laughing matter pinfall, though, it's a normal count. So after the match, they are literally in each other's faces, screaming at each other.
Yeah. Now, I know they said I know you said this match ends with no laughing matter, but I was laughing a lot at the beginning of this match, and I'm sure you heard this on commentary as well.
Yes.
So basically, I think it's Tony who says it. They'd like to thank Mr. Lawler for helping them make this wrestling event in Memphis as big as it is, because obviously we're talking Jerry the King Lawler, the
King of Memphis. Yeah,
the King of Memphis, man who built wrestling in Tennessee so far, and they said they wanted to thank him for that, but you'll be able to thank him yourself because he'll be at a flea market this weekend nearby.
Yeah, my guess is, so I tried to actually do research on this. My guess is King, a newspaper went to him, that he gave them some quote basically being like, I can't believe they're running this. This is so fucking stupid. And then my guess is WCW saw their ticket sales go through the roof the second King let everyone know that WCW was going to be in town. But I Googled it and found no information on this. So God knows what King did or said, but I imagine it had to come from something like that.
Oh, I just think it came from him, building the Memphis wrestling scene throughout all the years.
Oh, I don't know. Eric
has an ability to say that both he, start with a compliment, but then talk about how he'll be at a flea market later this week because he's still a carny.
But when Eric gets particularly petty, it's usually because something happens. Okay. He doesn't just pick a fight out of nowhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you. And
out of all the people to attack, the King?
Yeah.
Although they could have gone much, much harsher with it. So I guess just leaving it at that was like, was being good.
Yeah, especially in today's climate. Anyway,
Yep.
what do we got next, Chair Bear?
Well, next up it is Greg Valentine versus Lex Luger. This match goes 6 minutes and 30 seconds. Valentine thinks that he won, but the ref didn't count because his feet were on the ropes. So he celebrates as if he's winning. That allows Lex to lock on the rack. Miraculously, because Lex has been selling his back the entire matchup from the attack that Arn had on him last week, as it's all taped up. He can't lift him up at the beginning, but the adrenaline hit. He felt the audience, and he was able to get on that rack and get the win.
Yep. This match was straight out of 1986. Just as far as like the punch kick, headlock, two blonde giants style, like this match felt like a throwback.
Yeah, it was fine. Just didn't need to go 6 minutes and 30 seconds. During the match, we see Arn watching from backstage, and then we see Ted DiBiase and Vincent come out into the stands, but they don't do anything but stand there. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we sure shall. Vincent.
Next up, Tony interviews Nick Patrick. Tony says that the fine on Savage will not be $1 million, but it'll be $500, which seems more fair. But this next part is a little confusing. He then says that Randy will be suspended for the first 5 matches of 1997, which is a very odd thing to do, considering that, one, that's months away. And 5 matches, I mean, like, that could be weeks and weeks and weeks of Nitro television. And what does that mean? Like, whatever, I don't want to get into it, but yes. Anyway, Patrick is furious at this. He accuses, they then show footage from WCW Saturday Night, which is known as NWO Saturday Night, which, if you guys haven't seen or don't know what this is one of the oddest wrestling programs that have ever existed. I don't know if it's on the network or not, but I certainly remember watching this when we worked at WWE. It might be on YouTube, maybe. But NWO took over the entire program, and it's all shot in black and white. It's shot in an empty arena. It's only NWO, I believe only NWO versus NWO, maybe some jobbers thrown in there. And it's like Hall and Nash on commentary.
Definitely jobbers because the match that they showed the footage from was with a jobber.
Right. So anyway, they had a ref for that evening who was wearing a mask, who was obviously Nick Patrick. So Tony accuses him of being that referee. He yells that he isn't NWO and that it looks like it was Mark Curtis or whatever ref he threw into the bus instead.
Let's see. If I search NWO Saturday Night on the network on my iPad, I am not coming up with anything.
Well, I don't know. Is WCW Saturday Night on there? I don't know if they would have been able to specify that breakdown. I know some WCW Saturday Night is on there. I just don't know if they've uploaded everything.
Yeah, let's see. WCW Saturday Night is on here. Let's see if they have all of them. They do not. They have 1992 and 1993. Whoa, that's some old school WCW.
So maybe it exists on YouTube, maybe not. But when that's uploaded to network, it is a very odd. It's cool to watch for like 5 minutes. It's not a fun show to get through other than that. And we'll see more of this NWO stuff in a takeover that happening. But the first sort of test run of if NWO could have their own show, it's more of like a precursor to the shows we have to watch now, because the only people in the stands are NWO people. So as we know, having no audience is not the best way to watch wrestling.
You know, it's funny. I'm looking at the thumbnails that they have for WCW Saturday Night. And I'm not sure if you can see this, but from June 19th, 1993, there is your match at In Your House Buried Alive right there. There's Vader, Michael Sid.
There it is. Long-term booking, Adam.
Long-term booking across multiple federations, indeed.
Next up, we are in hour 2. Here we go. No Bischoff this week, but don't worry, we'll see him in 30 seconds. Even though they're like, we don't know where he is. 30 seconds later, they're like, oh no, he's going to interview Randy Savage. So the match we're supposed to have is Mike Enos versus Randy Savage. Randy Savage comes out. Eric stops him on the entranceway, and they have a little monitor set up there. And Savage is screaming and calling out Hogan, and Eric is trying to, saying like, hey, Liz has been trying to get to you. She's just been trying to apologize. Like, she just wants to get this message to you. So here's what we have. We have a video for you. Please, Randy, please just watch it. So it is Liz sitting in a tree swing or whatever you want to call it, which she says that Savage built
Rope
for her.
swing.
What is it?
A rope swing.
A rope swing.
Hanging off of a tree.
There you go. She's crying. She's apologizing. I mean, this is just going on forever. We come back, though, and eventually, and Savage is visibly shaken. Eyes are welling up in tears. Shoves Eric away and walks out. We see him like literally walk out of the arena, walk through the backstage, get into a limo, and the limo just pull out immediately. So that obviously it got to Savage's core.
Yeah, this is that thing that Bischoff likes to do when Hour 2 starts. Ever since the NWO came around, it seems like kind of the format for Nitro is to get through the first hour like a pretty regular wrestling show, like everything's going according to plan. And I get it. This kind of makes sense with this controversy creates cash mentality. As soon as you hit that second hour, hey, whatever we had planned for the show, you're going to see why it goes off the rails, you know?
Right.
Like we had this
match. And my guess is that's that head-to-head hour. It's the second hour of Nitro.
Yep, absolutely.
So anyway, we come back and it's Tenay, Bischoff, and Heenan on commentary to talk about what just happened to Savage. Heenan blames Eric, saying that these are NWO mind games. Why would he do this? Which is honestly like the subtlety in the storytelling to eventually lead to the whatever you're going to call it of Eric being part of the NWO has been threaded so nicely throughout Nitro since the beginning of the NWO, where Raw has no subtlety towards fucking anything. This story with Eric eventually being part of the NWO is there that whole time. When you go back and look for months, these like little weird things of like, this was an NWO mind game. This was Eric fucking with Savage to screw him up for his title match at Slim Jim Presents Halloween Havoc. Like, it's just really great storytelling.
No, it is. It's like going back and, part of the reason that you guys are here, you podheads riding along this with us, is, it's when you go back and you watch a great movie or play a great video game and you're on your second playthrough and you're going back through and you're seeing like these little things planted here and there that are like these tiny details that were totally subtle and not in your face in the beginning. Finding a lot of those in The Last of Us Part 2 right now. Holy shit, it's the best game I've ever played. Moving on. Yeah, it's great. It's fun to see this as we go along, and I'm
think
really...
like that's the frustration of WWF and WWE because of the way they do this shit, which is like these things are never thought out, and if they are thought out, it's changed at the last second anyway, throw anything out the door. I mean, there's no greater example to that than like the the higher power thing, which is like, if you go back and look at what led to Vince being the higher power, it makes no fucking sense. Nothing makes sense. And it doesn't make any sense because that wasn't the plan. And at the last second, they're like, oh, fuck it, I'm the higher power. Who gives a shit? It's like, that's the approach to all the storylines. Like, who gives a shit? I changed my mind on the whim. It doesn't matter if this is the story we're telling. This is how we're going to end it. Which is like, it's literally what they do is storytelling. Vince likes to go around, and we know his big thing about like, I make movies, pal. Like, okay, if you make movies, you should make it how movies are made, which is you start at the end, you get the beginning, and then you fill in the middle, and you figure out how to get to that end. But it seems like they have like a vague idea of what the end is. They have a great idea of what the beginning is. They bullshit through the middle and then change the end anyway.
Yeah, they change the end to make less sense. Or less impactful at the end. And you know what? It's not just a thing from the Monday Night Wars either.
No.
There are dozens of examples in modern times too. The biggest one that just comes right to me every time. What's in the cage? What's in Rowan's cage? What's in the cage?
Right. There was no ending to that. It was just like, well, here's sort of a general idea. What's the story? I don't fucking know. We'll figure it out.
And by the way, even if you don't like spiders, Drew McIntyre murdered a person's pet that they cared about in front of them.
That was a giant, disgusting, nuclear waste-induced spider growth alien, Adam.
It was the least babyface thing I've ever seen a babyface do in my life. He killed a man's pet in front of him for no reason. For no reason.
That spider was biting.
He had the opportunity to kill his pet. That's all he did. Devastating. Devastating. Doesn't matter if you don't like spiders. There's people who don't like dogs. What if someone's just fucking stomped on your dog right in front of you just because they didn't like it? Sickening.
Well, speaking of that, or sort of, we have a cheetah in our next match. It's Eddie Guerrero versus Cheetah Kid. Terrible transition by myself. Match was 2 minutes and 45 seconds. Frog Splash ends it. We got a pre-recorded message from Eddie before the match backstage talking about DDP, obviously their ongoing feud. I tried to figure out who Cheetah Kid was. I couldn't actually figure it out. This is something that is not on Google, or at least like the 5 minutes I spent trying to Google this, which is interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of it looks like there's a lot of people going back and forth trying to figure out. Some say it was Tanaka.
Yeah.
Some say maybe Prince
Iakea.
Yeah. Gosh, I don't know. Well, it's funny because when you search it up, actually
Rocco
the
Rock.
result that comes up is Rocco Rock. Yeah, and it is definitely not Rocco Rock in there.
Not 1996 Rocco Rock.
Let's see. In 1997, Prince Iakea did face the Cheetah Kid. So,
Interesting.
Do you think perhaps Cheetah Kid just like changed
people?
Yeah.
Good. If it could just be like they're like just had the costume back there, like anytime they needed just a jobber, high flyer, put the fucking thing on.
Yeah, exactly.
Next up, we got our first of what's going to be a recurring segment here forever. Lee Marshall is here for the 100 Collect on the Road report, where they just talk to Lee about the upcoming cities that they're going to go tour in. It's, again, genius by WCW. Not only are they promoting their upcoming shows, but is probably a very sweet, lucrative deal with 100 Collect.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I'm happy to see Lee Marshall because, as you like to bring up at the beginning of every episode, we worked at the WWE Tape Library. We went through their entire wrestling catalog and digitized it all. And we got to see everything that they own. Lee Marshall, for a little bit, for people who don't know, was a large part of the broadcast team in AWA back in the day. So, and he was actually a really good announcer. You remember?
A very good voice. He has an announcer voice.
Yeah, he has a great announcer voice, and he's just good at the job, So
professional.
This was a happy thing to see Lee Marshall show up. It looks like he has been no longer with us since April of 2014. So rest in peace, sweet Prince, one of the greats. But we will keep your legacy alive here on Monday Night Pod.
There it is. Next up, Adam, it's Jeff Jarrett versus Big Bubba of Jimmy Hart. Obviously, Jeff Jarrett is back in his hometown this week, so he gets a big old hometown pop.
He sure does. He's over as hell here.
His family built goddamn wrestling in Memphis. Match goes 6 minutes and 45 seconds. Jeff locks on the figure 4 leg lock, but Jimmy Hart gets up on the ropes. Jeff goes after him instead, which allows Bubba to slam him. Jeff kicks out. Bubba then tries to use the megaphone, but Jeff drop kicks him and pins him for the win. The announcers say he drop kicks the megaphone into Bubba. I don't know if I necessarily saw that, but that's supposed to be the finish. Anyway,
but the megaphone does go flying when he drop kicks.
It goes flying. Yes.
I did like there's a line early on that this is WCW. It's about wrestling, not singing.
Yes.
Wonder who they're digging at there.
Who knows? Not a bad match. I think it helps that Jeff is the only face that's over this whole night, considering the only other people they cheer for are the NWO. Savage, I guess, but we had to watch Savage cry. We didn't even see Savage get into the match,
Right. Not to be a contrarian about it, but I think Eddie was over too. When he was out, and Lex Luger, he was over.
Yeah, I guess so. But during those matches, they were chanting for NWO, though. You know what I mean? This is the only match where they were actually into the face.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Next up, Tony interviews Jarrett on the entranceway. They announce that Jeff is going to face the Giant at Slim Jim Presents Halloween Havoc.
And yep, he is about showing the Giant that he'll respect wrestling and he'll respect Jeff Jarrett.
There it is. Next up, Faces of Fear versus our WCW Tag Team Champions, Harlem Heat with Sherry and Colonel Robert Parker. This match goes 7 minutes and 15 seconds. For once, WCW actually makes clear that this is not a title match because we know they have a lot of issues, including the matchup last week. But anyway, I'll just run through this here. Mongo, Benoit, and Deborah make their way out to ringside. They don't really do much. Basically, they're just beating the shit out of each other. The match you would expect between Faces of Fear and Harlem Heat, just going at it. Anyway, the fans start to go nuts. Has to be the NWO. Finally, the camera finds them. It's Scott Hall and Kevin Nash making their way to the front row. They have spray cans in their hands, spray paint cans in their hands. Harlem Heat and Faces of Fear go out to confront them as they walk away. The bell rings. I guess double count out was the end of the match.
Throwing out the match.
Yeah. And that's it. The outsiders walk away with no confrontation.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm glad that Nitro ended peacefully, guys. Guess we could pack it up, head on home. It's a good show, everyone. Obviously, NWO isn't going to attack, so let's call it a show. That was Memphis, Tennessee. Thanks for watching.
Well, remember, Adam, Hogan demanded airtime tonight, and we haven't got to that yet. So it is time for, quickly, Eric Keenan and today talk about Savage and NWO, but then it is time for our NWO main event segment. The entire NWO come out, no music, which is odd. Liz is there, so I guess that clears up. She did sign her NWO contract. Eric says that she's being held hostage. But anyway, they get into the ring. Hogan claims that Liz was just acting in the video to Savage. She goes to slap him, but they hold her back. Out come the Nasty Boys wearing NWO shirts, and they're holding the contract in their hands. Brian Knobbs gets to the mic, and he complains about the contract that they gave them. And he's like, I know, Hogan, maybe you weren't so involved. Ted gave this to us, but the jets and the limos and the money's not really there. Hogan says that he never signed it, and they shouldn't be wearing NWO shirts until they're part of NWO. So guess what? The best thing that's ever happened, the NWO beat the shit out of the Nasty Boys.
They were knocked out very fast, too. It's like they get hit and they're just...
Hogan then promises that Liz will get a new hairdo next week and Savage is going to love it. At that point, Hall and Nash get on commentary. They chase the announcers away. They dress Harlem Heat. Hogan joins them, but his mic is not working. So then we awkwardly just cut to a shot of Savage crying as we hear Liz talk over it. And that's how we go off the air.
The replay from earlier.
Replay earlier, yes. There's no setup to that because my guess is Hogan is saying that. We just awkwardly cut to a replay of Savage's face as he's crying.
Yep. Yeah. That's Nitro. Pretty exciting, actually, I thought. Like you said, the greatest moment, since NWO arrived, just beating the shit out of the Nasty Boys. I enjoyed it. This was like this second hour of Nitro was actually, I thought, pretty interesting, at least throughout. There's no oh boy, here we go. Like a bunch of the Nick Patrick shit got kind of put to the side for the second hour.
He cut a great. And also his promo, I forget if that was hour 1 or 2. I love Nick Patrick's promo. I'm listening to that promo. I'm like, this dude's 6'3", and he cuts a good promo. He probably shouldn't be a ref.
Yeah, right. Let's see. No, that was right before hour 2 because Mike Enos was walking out after that, and that's when they said that it was hour 2. So, yeah, good show, man. I'm into it.
I don't know. I know I said I'd save it to the end. That's sort of my issue is I liked the storytelling. I think they did a better job, not only in the stories, but in the storytelling itself than WWF did. But overall for their show, it's good. I just think it's so story heavy instead of could we have give me one banger a week or a 2-hour wrestling show. He had a couple decent matches. The matches weren't terrible, Faces of Fear and Harlem Heat, they beat the shit out of each other. Even Jeff Jarrett and Big Bubba wasn't bad. But nothing was a banger. And when you present all these matches, instead of giving us stupid Wall Street and Hacksaw Jim Duggan, why don't you send, Jericho out there with another cruiserweight and let them wrestle for 6 minutes,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, or Guerrero Cheetah Kid didn't have to be quite as short as it was. I get it. You're building up Guerrero for his big match with DDP at Halloween Havoc, where he's going to take.
Slim Jim presents Halloween Havoc.
Slim Jim presents Halloween. So my mistake. It's because I put an abbreviation HH in there, but I should have called it, SJPHH.
But yeah, all right. So you were going to say Nitro was a better show this week?
I think so. I think so.
All right. I will agree with you. I think they both had their issues, both of their good things and bad things, but I think overall, yeah, Nitro was better. America agreed. As we all know, we're in the middle of 83 weeks. Nitro, though, gets a 3.3 and Raw gets a 1.8. No bueno.
Not good.
Go home show.
Yeah. Well, go home with your pay-per-view that like we couldn't remember what the matches were for a while. And
Oh, yeah. I remember what the matches were. I just didn't remember if it was actually happening this Sunday or not.
It's true. It's true. Well, it'll be fun to.
Although half those matches aren't happening on that pay-per-view, they're happening on the Raw. I don't know, whatever, who cares?
Right.
But yeah, all right. So who's ever, we asked you guys to keep track of this overall thing for us. Who's ever doing that, check off Nitro. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, Monday Night Pod, Facebook, Monday Night Pod, Instagram, Monday Night Pod. If you're watching this on YouTube, like the video, share the video, comment below. Let us know who you think should have won the Monday Night Wars for this week. Any other comments you have to say about anything. If you're listening to this on your podcast platform, we're on all the podcasting platforms, so make sure you subscribe or following. I see that we have a lot of people that listen to us on, I've never listened to it this way, but a lot of listeners, Adam, actually listen to us on Podbean.
Oh, interesting. All right.
I don't know what that is, but a significant, more people listen to us on Podbean than they do on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Well, then beam me up, Scotty. That was terrible.
Do all those things, Adam. Any final thoughts on the Monday Night Wars for this week?
Oh, man. For this week, no. So many thoughts on the Wednesday Night Wars, but we're not going to get into that right now because we've already kept you guys for like an hour and a half here. My goodness.
We did?
Keep hanging out. Nah, I think maybe not an hour and a half, but we got a long one coming here.
No, guys.